Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to our live stream for Sunday, the 28th of July 2024. We are out in the garden and it is a beautiful afternoon, even though the insects, all of the flies and all of the other annoying types of creature are nibbling away. But we are here anyway. It is myself, Mr. Duncan, and of course, yes, he is here as well. In the garden, we are now live. And here we are. Oh, here we are, everyone. Oh my goodness. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan and
Mr. Steve.
Mr. Steve is with us as well. And we are here today live with something slightly different because the weather is so nice. I couldn't resist coming outside to do a live stream. So we are with you now live from England. It is just after 5.5 minutes past 2 o'clock. And we are here, and Mr. Steve is with me as well, even though he's been very busy this morning, but we are here and we're enjoying the weather.
We are, and we're relaxed, Mr. Duncan. We're sitting here. All we need is a glass of wine, some aperitifs. We're just sitting here comfortably. I persuaded Mr. Duncan that we should be sitting down, not standing up. And Mr. Duncan went with my suggestion, so we may actually fall asleep halfway through this live stream.
So if you want to watch us, if you want to actually watch us here, sleeping for the whole afternoon with the flies slowly eating us alive, then please let us know on the live chat. Yes, the live chat is up and running. Congratulations, Vitas, by the way. You are first on today's live chat. Congratulations, Vitas. You are first here today.
Lots of people here, Mr. Duncan. Can you hear us? This is the main thing. Do tell us.
Please tell us if you can.
Please tell us if you can hear us.
Can you hear us and can you see us? If you can, then both of those things will be most welcome, if I was honest with you.
There's lots of people on the live chat, Mr. Duncan. Beatrice is here. Hello, Beatrice. Sash is here. Maurizio is here as well. And somebody from Poland saying a big hello. Mariusz, I'll try and pronounce your name correctly. We've got Mr. Putin as well.
Hello, Mariusz. Nice to see you here as well. And we are in the garden. And now I did take a big risk today because at this time of year, all of the insects are now buzzing around. So we might actually slowly start losing limbs as we are doing this, as the insects start chewing into us. This is not the most flattering angle, by the way, because when you sit down like this, it looks as if you've got a giant stomach, but we haven't. So neither of us have big stomachs. It's just the angle of the camera. I tried to make it as flattering as possible, but you know what it's like.
I'm holding my stomach in, Mr. Duncan, and I'm puffing up my chest to make myself look macho.
The live chat, hello everyone. If you want to say hello on the live chat, please say hello. Please say hello to me. Or if you want to, I don't know why you would want to, but you might want to say hello to Mr. Steve as well. And it's a beautiful afternoon. We had some terrible weather last week, and then the weather suddenly changed and everything went nice. And today we are having lovely, lovely weather. Tomorrow as well. Apparently tomorrow it might be 28 Celsius.
Ooh, blimey, Mr. Duncan, that's going to be far too hot for us.
Can I say hello to everyone watching in Rome at the moment? Apparently it's 40 at the moment in Rome.
Well, God, yes, it's a good job we're not there now, Mr. Duncan. We were, of course, there, as you well know. A lot of people watching met us there. And it would be probably a little too hot to be looking at all the sights. Probably it's 50 degrees inside the Colosseum. Il Colosseo, I should say, if I'm going to pronounce it in the Italiano way.
Wait, why are you talking in this strange, muffled way? I know what Steve's afraid
I'm
of
not afraid of anything, Mr. Duncan. Don't.
is where the neighbours will hear us.
But anyway, I couldn't care less, Mr. Duncan. I couldn't care. Anyone can hear us.
That's it. That's good. Project.
Oh, I've been killing off weeds this morning, Mr. Duncan.
You are always busy in the garden. I don't know how Steve does it, but he always manages to find something to do in the garden. I really hate this angle. It really looks like my stomach is bulging out. But
It is bulging out.
No, it isn't. Look, Steve, you did this last week. You are always on very thin ice.
Maybe we need to sink down a bit so
No,
that
I think that makes it worse.
so that
I don't know why this angle. Look, I'm pushing my stomach right in. There's nothing there. And
no,
yet,
that is your stomach.
Okay. Again, Steve, I don't know why you keep playing with this fire. I could say things just without even trying.
Say hello to Recife in Brazil. Hello. I know I've pronounced that name incorrectly, but I'm saying hello to you anyway. It says Lucius Maximus.
Recife. I think Recife might be. I'm not sure if that's the place or the person. We will have to wait.
Yes.
I'm sure we will find out.
I think you're right. I think it's in Brazil.
Okay, Steve.
We just need Pedro, and then we've got 2 people from Brazil watching.
By the way, this does work better if only one of us talks. Mr. Steve.
Yes.
Have you been watching the very, very exciting and not at all boring, really, really interesting, incredibly fascinating Olympic Games? Have you been watching them?
I haven't been watching the Olympic Games. I saw some of the opening ceremony. Celine Dion was fantastic.
I have to say.
She was outstanding.
No,
Singing live.
We didn't watch all of it, did we? We didn't watch all of the opening ceremony. Apparently, some people were getting really afraid and upset for various reasons. But I have to say, the icing on the cake, the most amazing moment of the opening ceremony was the part that we actually caught. So we tuned in just as it was finishing. And Celine Dion was there singing on the Eiffel Tower to the whole world.
That was outstanding.
Which
That is a consummate professional.
Which isn't, well, she's been incredibly ill. She's had this serious illness, stiff body syndrome. I've never heard of it until I read the story about Celine Dion, and apparently it can cause spasms all over your body and you can't move. You literally, it leaves you completely rigid and you can't do anything, including speak. So if you are a singer, as you are, Mr. Steve, you have to be careful. These sorts of things can end your career. So I thought it was amazing. A wonderful song as well.
Yep, she was fabulous. What a way to end the opening ceremony. It was very French, which is what we want. You know, if you're going to hold the Olympic Games in your country, you want the opening ceremony to reflect your culture, and it certainly did that. So, shame about the rain, but you can't do anything about the weather.
No, I have to say, it might be the wettest ceremony I've ever seen, and I've seen some very wet ceremonies. By the way, today, besides the Olympic Games, because everyone's talking about it, I would imagine that a lot of people at the moment, Steve, are not even watching. They're probably watching the running, or I think today it was the women's volleyball, was it? The volleyball in front of the Eiffel Tower. So I would imagine a lot of the men are watching the women's volleyball.
Possibly, I don't know why they would, but possibly, Mr. Duncan. Anyway, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, we have a few things to talk about. We'll be looking at small talk. Now, small talk is something we all do. I think it is part of the social glue, the way in which society keeps moving along. And there are many things that we do in our day-to-day lives, especially on a social basis, that sometimes make no sense. So, for example, the other night, Steve, we were going for a walk and we met a neighbour walking her dog, and you said, "Are you going for a walk?" And that at the moment it doesn't seem that bad. It seems like a normal thing to say. But afterwards, you kind of think, well, it's obvious. It's obvious that she's going for a walk because she's out in the street walking with the dog. So, but we do tend to do this, don't we? We like to open the conversation with some sort of small talk.
That's right.
So if we see someone doing something, quite often we will ask them if they are doing that particular thing, which when you think about it makes absolutely no sense, because clearly that's what they're doing. But we like to use small talk, and it's a good way of opening a conversation.
Yes, you could talk about the weather. Is a good opening bit of small talk in the UK. Oh, isn't it hot today? Oh, isn't it cold today? Oh, it's a bit. Oh, what's going to happen? Is it going to rain? Oh, the garden's dry. It needs some anything. It could be. Oh, did you see that TV program? Oh, I like your dress. That's very nice. Have you changed your hair?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I don't think you can say that nowadays.
I think you just lie. Yeah. But anything to get the conversation going. I'm very good at this, Mr. Duncan.
But my point is, quite often we say things that make no sense. Because if you see someone doing something, you will still ask them if they are doing that actual thing. Like the other night, are you going for a walk? Are you? Well, yes, because that's what you want to say in response. You want to say, well, clearly, of course, I'm going for a walk. Can't you see me walking along the road? But we've had this said to us as well. So we've been out walking, and other people have met us, and they've asked us if we are going for a walk, which of course is obvious. Of course we are.
But it just gets conversation going. It's the glue that holds society together.
It is true.
As I often say. But there's nothing worse if you walk past somebody and they ignore you, if you know them, or even if we're out walking. Quite commonly, if we go out for a walk and you meet other people coming in the opposite direction, it is courtesy to at least smile or say hello or something.
Unless, of course, you don't like them, in which case you do the opposite, which is ignore them completely. You snub them. S-N-U-B. Snub.
Well, but you don't usually do that, do you? There's not many people that you would come across that you don't like.
I'm very good at snubbing people. If there was ever an Olympic sport, Mr. Steve, of snubbing, I think I would get the gold medal every time.
Yes, you are very good at that. But I went for a walk, stroke run. What I mean is a bit of a walk, a bit of a run, a bit of both.
We're not saying that you have a stroke when you have a run.
A stroke. I mean the stroke that you would put in writing. What would you call that? Like a forward stroke?
Yes. Well, it's
stroke walk.
Yes, because you're using two things in the same sentence, so that they both kind of relate to each other with the subject that you're talking about. So you might say walk, stroke, run. So you're saying that those two things are both happening during that time?
Yes. So I did that the other day, and there was a lady with two dogs coming towards me, and I went to say, well, in fact I did say hello, to her, because we were in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody else around. It's not like there were crowds of people. So it was the only person I'd passed in about 20 minutes. So I said hello, and she just looked away and went like that. Very strange. I think what annoyed her was her dogs were off the lead, which they shouldn't have been on a public footpath, and she was annoyed because I was coming along and she had to put them back on a lead to stop them running at me. So, but I was friendly, I said hello. But a lot of people I've noticed around here, Mr. Duncan, out in the country, when they're out for a walk, they tend to think that it is their own land that they're walking on with their dogs or whatever. And so for some reason they get quite annoyed if you come along
Yeah.
It's-
Well, this is a whole subject, though, isn't it?
This is a whole subject.
This could be the dog subject, where people are walking with their dogs. And can you believe it? One of our local newspapers around this area, they actually did a report last week, because apparently more and more people are. What are you doing, Steve? It's
I'm pretending
It's very
to wave
distracting.
at somebody.
It's very distracting when you're doing that. And you're going like that. In the local newspaper, the local newspaper reported that there are more people now complaining or reporting other people to the police because of their badly behaved dogs. And apparently the number of people complaining about dogs generally in public places has increased. So more and more people are becoming, I would say, maybe annoyed. So you're right, Steve, when you meet someone with a dog and they're coming towards you, maybe the dog is running around in a crazy way, and you just want to go for a nice walk, and sometimes the owner will look at you as if you're doing something wrong, as if you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be walking. You should be letting me walk with my dog on my own. And it's rather selfish and arrogant. So you're right, Steve. But I find it very difficult nowadays. If someone has a dog running around,
Sounds like a bird being attacked.
I think it's a blackbird getting very alarmed by us. I think so. What was I saying? So it is the case that sometimes when you're walking and you see a dog running around loose, and I find it very hard to actually say anything to the owner. I don't want to say hello to them. I just want to snub them because it's so annoying. And they should have the dog on a lead.
Which, to be fair, most people, well, I wouldn't say most, probably half.
Some.
Are quite. But the same people, of course, you would find would let their children run around in restaurants.
Well, they should be on
and
leads.
In supermarkets.
They should be on leads as well.
So, they're probably... Anyway, we won't go into
The dog
that.
should be on a lead, and the kids should also be on leads as well. So you keep them all on leads so they can't run around and cause chaos.
Lift talk, says Inarchy.
Lift talk.
Yes, that is similar to small talk, because in a lift,
Oh, I see.
if you find yourself in a lift...
No one ever
with
talks
somebody-
No one ever talks in a lift.
Well, sometimes they do, but the expression lift talk.
Oh,
I'm
I
just
see.
talking about. I mean, you've been in a lift sometimes. It may be with people you know, or not to a stranger. Well, sometimes you might, and you're in the lift. You're going up to the 30th floor. It's going to take several minutes, and it stops on every floor. You walk in. You're in an enclosed space, so you either just look down.
That's
or
what
look at your phone.
That's what I do. I just pretend to be looking somewhere else. I've never seen anyone start a conversation with a stranger in a lift.
Oh, I have lots of times.
Because nowadays, of course, nowadays, you might get a slap around the face, or maybe someone will think that you're trying some funny business in the lift. So you have to be very careful. So I think normally in that situation, especially when people are very close together, I have to say I hate that. I don't like situations where you're all in a small space with strangers and your bodies are pressed together. Ugh.
Well, if there's lots of people, I think if there's only, say, one or two people, there's more pressure to say something. If there are lots of people, 12 people in a lift, maybe nobody would say anything. But then if one or two people know each other, they'll start talking, and then you're close by. It's very easy for the conversation to start moving around different people. But yes, small talk, lift talk. Oh, this is a smooth lift, isn't it?
What?
You might say.
This is a smooth lift.
Oh, what a comfortable lift.
I'm so glad that this lift is not crashing to the ground.
Oh, did you see that person on reception? They're a bit rude, aren't they?
See, that's okay.
Or what you usually, sometimes what you find in a lift is that people may be on a conference, get in the lift together, and you're not part of that group, but they all come on laughing and joking with each other, and then they get off, and then so sometimes you can talk in a lift. I think it depends.
Yeah,
you've got to be careful though.
I find social situations can always be a little awkward. Maybe if you're standing in the queue in a supermarket, that's another one where people just don't acknowledge each other. We just all pretend that we're in our own little world. So I do find those sorts of things quite fascinating. If you ever use the London Underground and you're sitting in one of the seats, or maybe you're standing up, everyone will avoid eye contact. So everyone will find a place to look at, their own little space that they can stare at. Or some people will just pretend to read the newspaper so they don't have to make eye contact. So I always find those sorts of things quite fascinating.
Giovanni says that in northern Italy, in my area in northern Italy, hello Giovanni, it's become strange. People respond with a cold salve, which is hello, which is, I know you, salve is what you say to a stranger, somebody you don't know in Italy. If you're greeting them with hello, it's the formal way of saying hello.
Salve.
Instead of ciao, which is what you would say if you know somebody. I've learnt something from going to Italy, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
But yes, so sometimes foreigners are more welcoming.
Again, it is interesting, yes. Well, I remember when we went to Turkey. When we were in Turkey and we visited some of the other places away from where we were staying, local people were incredibly friendly. We were invited in to one place. There was a shop in one of these little bazaar areas. Not bizarre, as in weird, but bazaar as in a place where things are sold.
Lots of different things are for sale.
And people were so friendly. Now, you might say, Mr. Duncan, I think they were trying to get you to buy something. But no, there was no pressure. And it was wonderful. So we did have some lovely experiences with strangers, complete strangers who we'd never met before in Turkey. And of course in Italy as well. People are quite friendly, very open in Italy.
Olga says, when I visited the UK many years ago, I was surprised how the children were noisy. But I thought it was okay for English culture. Well, it didn't used to be like that.
Yes.
Because the expression I always grew up with was children should be seen and not heard.
Yes.
Is definitely something that my parents grew up with, and it was very socially unacceptable for your children to be making noise and running around in public. But now it isn't. Now it is, at least in the UK. Generally, I would say children are... I think parents want their children to express themselves, and for whatever reason they think it is acceptable if you are paying large sums of money in a restaurant to be disturbing everybody else around you.
Yes. Well, I was saying this the other night because we went out for a meal on Friday night. We haven't been out for a long time at night for a meal. And we went to this place and we were talking amongst ourselves, and then we said, wouldn't it be great if you could have private rooms that you could go into and have little areas where there is a table and you can go into a separate room like in China. I always remember that in China. So you could go to have a little private place, a little private party, and there would be lots of side rooms that you could go into and you could have your meal in a small group. So I must admit, I do like that.
Beatrice says that outside of the big cities, then people are more willing to say hello to you, and we find that here. So if you, in fact, the people that don't talk, if you walk past somebody sometimes in Much Wenlock and they're a tourist, they won't talk to you. because they're probably from a city and they're not used to or don't want to talk to people that they don't know.
Mm.
But if you see a local, in fact, we often say if you walk past a group of people or one person or two people and they don't respond to you if you say hello or smile, then we automatically we say to each other, oh, they're out of town.
Yes.
They're from Birmingham or London or somewhere like that.
Well, a good example. We went into one of the local shops yesterday, and we struck up a conversation with the lady working in this shop. So there are lots of little shops. So we went into this sweet shop, and we started talking to this lady. I've never seen her before, but apparently she's only lived in this area for a short time, and we were just talking for ages. So it can happen, especially if you are both local. If you are both local people, quite often you will start talking about things that are going on, or maybe your own opinion or your own view of things going on in the area. So it was interesting. We were actually talking to this woman for quite a while. So I did buy something, but we also had a chat for quite a while, didn't we?
And it was an interesting chat because she used to live in London, near Heathrow Airport, in fact.
Oh.
Very busy. I think she was brought up there, and her and her husband decided to move out of that area and come and live here. And she wasn't entirely happy, was she?
No.
Which is what you find quite often with people who move from the city into the town, is that she's finding it a little boring because everything shuts down at about 8 o'clock at night.
Yes.
The only place to go to see anyone is the local pubs. Everyone's in their house. That's typical of the countryside. There aren't any theatres. There aren't any restaurants open late. You can't get a taxi anywhere, which is true, you can't here. We found that out for ourselves.
So, but that's I suppose that's the contrast between those two types of place, a city or a big town, and then you come here to Much Wenlock. Inarkey, by the way, hello Inarkey, just asked, do you get tourists in Much Wenlock? During the summer, we get lots and lots of tourists coming to have a look at the old buildings and visit some of the nice scenic places. So it's true, yes, we do get lots and lots of tourists. At this time of year, many people will come from other parts of the UK, or maybe a group of people will come on a coach and they will visit for the day. They will come and see Much Wenlock. So it is, I suppose you would describe Much Wenlock as a tourist attraction.
It is. Its main economy, I would say, would be from the local people. And then at certain times of the year, like in the summer, they will get an influx of tourists. But we haven't got many hotels. In fact, the main hotel is just closed in Much Wenlock. So mainly sort of day tourists, I would say. But yeah, what were we talking about before then? Yes, moving from the city into the town. If you're used to a busy, vibrant life, going out in the evenings, meeting with friends, you like going to theatres, you will find probably that the countryside will be very boring. In fact, I find it a bit boring, don't I, Mr. Duncan?
Yeah.
I would go a bit mad if it wasn't for the fact that I could drive and go out to the various things that I'm a member of, choirs and Amdram societies.
Yes, you've got. I
You
think
can feel very cut off.
yes. Once you have no public transport or no way of getting around, that's when you can feel very isolated. We do have buses. Before anyone asks, we do have a bus service, but not many. So maybe just in the morning, in the afternoon, and then in the early evening, the buses will stop. So you've got to have a car, and that's right. Mr. Steve is right. If you have a car, then living here wouldn't really be a big problem. But it would, of course, if you couldn't. Or, of course, I suppose, without being unfair, if you are elderly.
Well, that's what she commented on. She said that the number of elderly people here was, she didn't like it. And it's true. I mean, it must be 90% elderly people in Much Wenlock. And a lot of you have seen the videos before and have commented on this yourself.
Everyone says, Mr. Duncan, why is everyone so old in Much Wenlock?
It's true, they are. And that if you want to be around young people, you wouldn't come and live in Much Wenlock. In fact, she said you come to Much Wenlock and you just get old and wait to die, is the expression she used yesterday.
I'm not sure if she actually said that. I think you just
Well,
come here to grow old.
I think she described one of the local pubs as God's waiting room.
Oh, yes.
God's waiting room. I think you can imagine what that means. Or one of the local restaurants.
Anyway,
But yeah, it can seem like that.
on a beautiful day like this, we are talking about small talk, social interaction, and there might also be a few words we can show as well on the screen. So let me just have a look. This might not work, by the way. We will see what happens because it might be too bright. So we have the word small talk. I hope you can see that. Small talk is the thing we do when we want to make polite conversation with other people, small talk, and it happens quite often in situations where you don't expect to meet someone. So maybe a social situation where you meet someone, but maybe you weren't expecting to see them, and it happens quite often if you're walking around, isn't it? You might suddenly meet someone in the street. Oh, hello there. You might have chit chat. So chit chat can also be a type of small talk. We say chit chat, a little chit chat. You have a conversation, a general conversation. We can also say idle chat as well. Idle chat is just general conversation. Nothing too heavy, not politics, not religion, nothing too heavy, nothing that will start a fight, just general talk.
You're probably talking about other people. Chit chat is just about very light subjects.
Yes.
You know, what's happening with your friends, your family maybe, what's going on in the local area, but no deep conversations. You're not talking about religion, politics,
That's it.
anything like that.
Another word, here's a nice word, pleasantries. And this is a real word, by the way. I know it doesn't look real, but it is a real word. Pleasantries. Pleasantry. So when we describe something as a pleasantry, it means small talk, a nice thing to say to someone.
How are you?
How are you? Hello. Isn't it a lovely day?
Yes, how are you? How is your family? How are your friends? How's your job going? Just things to light conversations to get the conversation going. Of course, when you give pleasantries to somebody, you're usually expecting something back in return. But you know what they say, it's better to be a good listener than a good talker, because people respect you more and they want to talk to you. If, like, for example, here's a good example. We met somebody the other week that we hadn't seen for a long time. In fact, about 3 years. We won't say who or give any clues in case they're watching. We just met them and I don't think we'd seen this person for at least 2 years, if not 3 years.
Yes, it must have been 3 years. A local person.
And we didn't know them that well anyway. And then she said, oh, hello. Oh, my tooth. Oh, I've had a tooth out. It was just hello, and then straight away her agenda was talking about herself.
All of the problems.
Oh, I've had a tooth out. And she talked about 5 minutes about her tooth. And I was sitting there thinking, what? I haven't seen you for 3 years and you're just telling me about some random thing. You haven't said, there were no pleasantries in the conversation. It was, hello, well, I've just had a tooth out. Oh, it's been so painful.
Yeah.
And it took, okay, but it wasn't, how are you?
But that's it.
I haven't seen you for a while.
What that does, that shows how important small talk is. It's a way of easing into the conversation.
Pleasantries.
Yes.
See, that in that situation, that person should have said, I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you doing? Are you still living in such and such? How are your family? And you try to remember things, and then you will ask the same things back. And then you might say, how are you? And then that person might have said, well, I'm fine, but I had a bad tooth the other day.
Yes.
That's not just to immediately tell you
Yes.
without asking. That's very annoying when you meet people and they just suddenly tell you something about themselves.
Yes.
Hello, how are you? Hello, yeah. Oh, we've just come back from holiday.
Yes.
Well, no, don't just tell me that. That's not good conversation.
Yes.
Wait for me to ask. If I'm interested in you, I will ask.
Yes.
But just to suddenly offload and tell you about it, it's very selfish, lazy way to talk.
Here's another phrase we often use: social interaction. Social interaction. So when we talk about interaction, we are talking about something taking place normally between two or more people. So the interaction is actually the conversation. People are having a conversation, they are talking to each other, they are doing something together, or maybe they are talking to each other about something generally. Social interaction is what that is. General things that people are doing.
Yes, they're drinking together, talking together, maybe having a drink, a meal together. Social interaction, groups of people getting together to do something, talking, eating, drinking, just social interaction. And we're very sociable beings. In fact, they've identified now it's one of the major causes of dementia and heart attacks is not getting enough social interaction, because it releases all those lovely feel-good hormones, reduces your stress hormones. Although it doesn't work for everybody, does it? Some people don't like. But generally, giving somebody a hug, it all helps to sort of the ease of conversation and social interaction is very important to most human beings.
I think so.
Certainly is to me.
Certainly with me, I do find sometimes I'm uncomfortable. I think that's the way of expressing it. Uncomfortable in situations where maybe I don't know people, or if I'm thrust into a group of people who I don't know, it can be difficult.
Inaki says here as well, lots of good comments from Inaki today. What about those people that start moaning as soon as you meet them?
Yeah.
That's it. So, some people do, particularly in a work context. And I often find that if somebody is stressed over work or has a lot of things to moan about, they'll phone you up or you'll meet them and they just, isn't work awful? And they'll tell you all the things that are bad, but they're getting it off their minds, but then it's coming onto you. They offload and then it comes onto you, and then you go away feeling a bit down.
But in all fairness,
sometimes.
to be fair, Steve does have his moments as well. General questions. So this is something we briefly mentioned earlier. General questions as a way of using small talk. So you might ask a person a question, you might ask general questions about things, certain things normally related to things such as family. I don't even know if you can see that, it's so small. Family. How's the family keeping? How's your brother? How's your sister? How's the wife?
I tell you what always impresses me if you meet somebody And this happened to me recently with somebody at work. I'd only met them once before, but they remembered specific things about me in a conversation that we'd had 3 months previously.
Wow.
And they straight away said, "Oh, how's your sister?" Oh, I can't remember what it was now.
Oh.
But it was, yes, oh yes, how's life in Much Wenlock? And I was quite taken aback because they'd remember. Taken aback means you're a bit shocked. Mild shock. I don't believe you just said that. But it was flattering. When somebody remembers your name and you've only met them once before, or they remember specific things about you, it really impresses you about that person because they've taken the time to actually remember something about you.
I think the other thing as well, when you meet Mr. Steve, it is quite memorable. It is something you'll never forget. So a lot of people do remember Mr. Steve I would say it's part of Steve's success in his job as well, because he's got very good interpersonal skills, very good way of talking to people, listening to people, and I think this does help with your job. I am not so good at that, so I will admit it. Sometimes I'm awkward in certain social situations.
But you see, it's not that is what helps me in my job. It was the job that helped me develop skills, social skills with people, because I used to be very shy when I was young. Very shy, very awkward talking to people in social situations. Although I wasn't when I was a child, but then when I went through teenage years, became very shy and introspective. Introverted, I would say. Introverted is the phrase. But then I moved into a job in sales, and you have to develop skills with people. You go on lots of courses, and it helped me greatly. So now I feel as though I can talk to anyone, although I always feel a little nervous talking to people in authority. Bosses.
I think that's normal.
Yes.
Can I say hello to Laurie? Hello, Laurie. We met you in Rome. Apparently, Laurie wants to buy one of those hats, very similar to Mr. Steve's hats. His Tilly hat.
It's a Tilly hat. I don't know which one it is. Laurie. But yes, I've had this for years. They're so well made. They last forever. And if you lose it, apparently they will replace it for free.
That's amazing.
I know. Or if it disintegrates. But no, I've had this one for many, many years.
So, hello, Loretta. It's nice to see you here. And please give our regards to your husband as well. I'm Salvadora. Have I remembered that correctly? I hope so.
Loretta.
Is that right?
No, is that Francesca's
husband?
No,
that was sorry, Giovanni's. Giovanni is your husband. Giovanni. Is that right? Giovanni. It's Giovanni. Sorry about that, Loretta. Loretta and Giovanni.
Yes.
That's it. Because we met so many people during our time in Rome.
But it's Giovanni, not Giovanni Rivetti.
Giovanni Ferrari.
No, it wasn't that. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yes,
anyway.
Loretta, and there's another Giovanni with a different surname.
Okay. Let's not draw attention to it. Weather. We like to talk about the weather when we are using small talk. What a lovely day. Isn't the weather terrible? It's too hot. I would imagine today, I bet someone somewhere in England is complaining about the weather. I bet someone is complaining because it's too hot.
Well, of course, everybody knows that the British people, English people, UK people always talk about the weather because we happen to live in a country where the weather is different every day, and we have very distinct seasons. But I would imagine probably if you live near the equator or in very cold countries that are cold all the time, where the weather's more constant, then maybe they don't talk about the weather so much. I don't know.
I like to think of in the morning, maybe in the North Pole where the Eskimos live, although you can't call them Eskimos anymore. Apparently it is not politically correct to say Eskimo. Can you believe it? Inuit, apparently. So when the Inuits wake up in the morning, even though I'm going to say Eskimo, because you know what I'm talking about, then
It's
you see.
Loretta and Giovanni Romano.
Romano.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Beatrice.
So when the Eskimos wake up in the morning, I wonder if they say to each other, "Oh, isn't it cold today? Isn't it cold?" And then the other person will say, "It's cold every day, you idiot."
Whereas here it's different every day, and whatever the weather, there's always somebody that will moan about it.
Yes.
We're always moaning about the weather. Oh, it's too hot. When it's winter, we're moaning because it's cold. Then the summer comes and we're moaning because it's too hot. This is just British people. But it's all part of the small talk. Because I find as well in conversation that you don't want to appear like your life is too good when you're talking to people. So I think sometimes if you moan about something or complain about something, I often find that, you don't want to be boasting too much about your life when you're in conversations with people, because nobody likes somebody whose life is going too well.
No, we always hate people who are having a really, really good life. I don't know why. We sometimes, well, not always, and not everyone.
So I think sometimes, even if say you've got, your life's absolutely fantastic. You're a millionaire. You're driving around in a Rolls Royce.
I
And
think
you
we know
live in
that.
a mansion.
But then we would know that, wouldn't we?
I know, but I think you wouldn't boast about that in a conversation with somebody. You'd find something. It's a strange thing that people do in conversation sometimes, that they almost want to put themselves down, moan a bit about their lives, because they want the other person to feel better. I often find I think I do that.
Yes.
I do that in conversation.
Yeah. I think your problem, Steve, is you're just too modest. So I think Steve might be the other way. Sometimes you're too modest and you hide your light away from other people.
Salvatore is saying hello. Alessandra's on. So we were right about that. At least I was right about that. Hello, Alessandra.
Look, can I just say,
Salvatore.
I'm going to get confused because there's so many people. You only have to remember one name, and that's me, and Steve. 2. At the most, it's 2. But I have to remember dozens and dozens of names and faces, and it's not easy, not at my age.
And it was, of course, Loretta who had purchased one of your T-shirts.
That's true.
And she was very excited to bring it with her to Rome and wear it on the live stream, which was lovely. And her husband Giovanni Romano was there also.
Can I say hello to some of the live chat, because I think we've missed most people today. Olga, hello Olga. Hello also to Beatrice. Nice to see you here as well. We also have Trum Ong, who I believe is watching in Vietnam. Hello Vietnam from England. And who else is here? Farry Bors. Hello Farry Bors. Nice to see you here as well.
Hinaki uses a trick if they don't want to talk to people, which is a very good idea. Sorry, I'm carrying frozen food and I have to go.
Yes. That's the best thing to talk about right now. Excuses. Do you ever walk down the road? Are you ever in a situation where you're walking down the street and you see someone coming in the opposite direction, but you don't want to speak to them, and you try to hide, or maybe you go round the corner so you don't see them? Have you ever done that? Come on, be honest. I have. I've done it. I'm sure Steve has done it, and I would imagine many people who have seen us walking down the road, I would imagine they have hidden away so they don't have to speak to us. I think so.
I'm sure that happens a lot, Mr. Duncan.
I think so.
But yes, how do you, getting out of a conversation, if you meet somebody and you're in a hurry, but you don't want to appear rude, how do you get out of that conversation? And how do you, yes, you could say, I've got some frozen food, I need to go home and put it in the deep freeze. But then if that person says, oh, what have you been buying? If they ask questions, then you might be caught out as a liar.
So you have to be careful. When you make an excuse, it has to be real, or something that at least appears real. Don't make something up and then later on you forget about it, because then you will be exposed as being a liar.
That happens quite a lot. It's very good now that we have on phones that you know who's calling you, caller display or whatever you call it. Because in the old days, before mobile phones that would tell you who was calling, you only had a landline, and you wouldn't necessarily, the phone was ringing, but you wouldn't know who they were. And you might pick the phone up because, for example, I've done this before, you might have thought it was your mother or your sister calling, and you pick the phone up and it's somebody else, somebody that you don't really want to talk to, and your heart sinks because you just think, oh, we all know somebody that it's virtually impossible to end the conversation with. In fact, there's one particular person I know, and and now I know if that person's calling, and I will decide whether I have the time or the inclination to want to talk to that person, because you know it's going to be at least an hour and you won't be able to get away from that conversation. Because even this particular person, I have to say about 5 times, well, it was nice talking to you, I've got to go now.
It's a bit
and they ignore it and just carry on talking anyway.
That was a bit like your mum as well. Sometimes you would have to say goodbye to your mum quite a few times before she would put the phone down.
That's because she was a bit lonely and wanted to talk. That was
all
right.
Maybe, no, but that's it. Well, maybe that's your friend, you see. Maybe your friend is lonely and she just likes to have a conversation on the telephone. But the wonderful thing nowadays is when your telephone rings, you know who it is. So you can decide whether or not you want to speak to that person or not. Between you and me, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't. I like talking face to face, or send an email or a message on your phone using text, but never a conversation where you just, hello, how's the weather? And sometimes the conversation might just slow down and suddenly you've got nothing to talk about, and then it becomes all embarrassing.
Loretta is fighting an army of ants attacking their house. So yes, we've got a bit of an ant problem.
Yes. This time of year.
Particularly this time of the year. So I've got this. I don't like killing ants, because after I saw the film Ants, A-N-T-Z, of course, which makes the ants seem human, I don't like killing ants, but unfortunately you have to, because if you don't, they just invade your house eventually, and they just become a nuisance.
Well, I think that's prejudice.
It's like mice.
I think that's very prejudiced towards ants. They just want somewhere to live. They just want somewhere to settle down and live their lives just like we do. So why should the ants be persecuted and kept away?
I've got some white powder that I spray around if I see. The very common ants seem to like living under flagstones.
Yes.
Or
under anything.
Yes, if you've got sort of flagstones, what else do you call those?
Slabs.
Slabs. if you've got an area of your garden that has got slabs, 12-inch slabs or whatever, they start coming up. You see these little piles of very fine soil where the ants are coming to the surface, and I squeeze the powder down there when I see it.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, if you don't, the slabs, because all the soil keeps coming up, the slabs start sinking, and it just becomes annoying. So what are you using? Have you got Giovanni out there trying to kill the ants off? What are you doing? Let us know.
My mum used to put hot water. She used to boil hot water, and she would pour the boiling hot water over where the ants were coming out. So it's not very nice, I know, but it's a horrible image. But ants just want to live somewhere, although they can be annoying, especially when you find them in your butter.
Well, I left them one year. They were near the back door, and I just thought, we'll let them, But then eventually they started finding ways into the house through the brickwork. So we came down one morning and there were ants, thousands of ants, all inside the kitchen area, because they must have buried underneath and come up somewhere in the floor. So you have to control them, otherwise they invade your house.
Controversial subject.
So as soon as I see ants coming up, and those telltale signs of the little bits of fine soil, I'll spray powder all around the hole.
I tell you what's been annoying this year: houseflies
Yes.
in the house. I know. I just realised. I know what you're going to say, Mr. Duncan. They're called houseflies. You're going to find houseflies in your house. I know that. I know, but there seem to be more of them, and they are so annoying, especially when you're sitting at night. You're trying to watch your favourite television show, and the fly keeps buzzing around your head.
They attack you, don't they? They just keep landing on you. I've given up with spiders. We get a lot of spiders in the house. They're these, what they call them, daddy long leg spiders. They're not normal house spiders. They're different ones with very long legs and small bodies, and they go up in the corners of the room. I mean, there's so many of them. I've got this device that like a miniature. It's got a motor, and you can sort of suck them into this tube.
It's like a vacuum cleaner, except for instead of sucking up the dust, you suck up the spiders.
It's battery operated. It's got a long pipe, and you can reach right up to the ceiling and turn it on, and the spiders go into the tube.
If not, you can always use your vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner. Well, I mean, with the flies, you like to let them out, but eventually there's so many, you just have to kill them.
But flies are also a little bit stupid, because if you've ever tried to get a fly out of your room, you open the window and you're trying to get the fly to go out of the window, but it goes everywhere else. It goes, no, that way, no, over there, you stupid fly.
In Vietnam, Trum Ong says we use fire bag plastic and put on hole of ants. I wonder what that is.
Oh, I wonder if it's melted plastic. So I wonder if it's melted plastic. Maybe you melt the plastic and the plastic will go into the holes, and then it will seal up the holes.
Maybe.
It will stop the ants from coming out.
More details, please.
It is true. Insects are annoying. They can be.
But we don't get the really big ants in the UK. But I would imagine in Italy, you've probably got, Loretta, much bigger ants than we have in the UK. The ants in the UK are very small. The common ant is very small, and we've noticed when we've been on holiday to hot places like Turkey, we've seen these really big ants. 3-4 times the size of UK ants.
Yes, they can be big.
But we've only got very small ones in the UK.
It is interesting what you can get in your house sometimes. I think the strangest animal we've ever had in the house, Steve, must be a bat. There was one night we were sitting watching television, and then suddenly we realised there was a bat in the living room, and it was flying around and around and around. It wouldn't stop. It was going crazy.
But that
So-
one just went out. We just opened the window and it went out.
I think that's the strangest animal we've ever had. But we don't like insects, and even today, as we're sitting here, I'm very aware that there are thousands and thousands of insects flying around and nibbling me. That's why I've got my shirt on today. I was going to wear my short shirt and also my shorts, but I thought no, because I know what will happen. The flies and the ants, they will start nibbling me.
And we don't, yes, we have ants of all sizes, says Alessandra. But but we don't have the very big ones here.
No, we don't. They're very small.
They're very small. We don't have the sort of army ants like the ones they get in tropical forests. Are very aggressive, very big, aggressive ants. But not here. So imagine if spiders were the same weight as dogs, says Vitas. Yeah. Well, they'd be. The trouble with the thing with insects is they can only get to a certain size because they've got very heavy outer skeletons.
Yes.
So they can only grow to a certain size
Before they become too heavy to move
before
around.
they become too heavy to move around. But I think probably when the climate was a lot hotter, in the time of the dinosaurs, you'd probably got much bigger insects, bigger spiders. The hotter the country, generally, the insects are bigger, aren't they?
You know what's happening, don't you? The sun is now moving, so I'm going to move my chair slightly.
Do you want me to move, Mr. Duncan?
No, that's okay, Mr.
Are
Steve.
you getting hot?
No, I'm not getting hot. I've just got the sun sort of on me, and it's annoying. That's better.
Well, that's the thing, you see. The sun is moving. We
Closer.
could move the camera and go over that way.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. So we will be with you for about another 10 minutes, and then we're going in. Mr. Steve will make a cup of tea as usual, and actually I will have a drink of water, which is now warm.
Lewis says that they have ants in the house. Loretta's ants are coming into the house, and they're going away next week, so they're going to wonder what's going to happen. Yes, I would. I'm sure you've got your husband onto that, looking for where they're coming in and spraying something in the entry point. They're looking for sugar.
Yes.
Which they do like looking for sugar. There was a film. Do you remember that film in the 1960s about giant ants?
It was called. I know the movie. It was called The Giant Ant Invasion, and it scared me to death as a child.
It's a very scary film.
It was that sound they made. That sort of. They made a sort of very eerie sound as well.
It was the usual premise that everyone was frightened of atomic nuclear power, weren't they? And in the 60s, and there were lots of films around where something gets exposed to some uranium.
They got the idea, by the way, from Japan.
Yeah,
It was Japan that started all of that with
Godzilla.
because it was actually done as a kind of commentary on the bombing of Japan, and that's how Godzilla came about.
but there's always this fear, or this sort of almost comedic thing that if you expose animals to radiation, they will mutate into much larger monsters. And this film about giant ants, it was very scary. It was a similar premise, I think, that some ants have been exposed to radiation and they developed these giant ones. They were like the size of a house.
It is interesting how. Have you noticed how some old films are still scary, even though you watch them now and they're maybe 50 or 60 years old? Yet some of them are really, really scary even now. And I always find that if you watch a film in black and white, it's more scary than if it's in colour.
Still, there's still my one of the scariest films to me is or good scary film is Oh God, I can't remember the name of it now.
Good.
I don't think it would come to me. What's that one out in the Arctic and the aliens in the
The Thing.
The Thing. The Thing. That I remember when I first watched that, I was scared stiff. And also, the Day of the Triffids.
Anything like that. War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
Another one, a very scary film because of the sounds. I don't know why, but I find sometimes the use of sound effects in movies can create quite a chilling atmosphere.
Oh, here's a good one, Alessandra. Yes, we'll do that for you. The word ant, little creatures that are invading Loretta's house. Ant and aunt. They're very close. An ant is the creature that is invading Loretta's house, and an aunt is obviously like your auntie,
A parent's sister.
parent sister. Aunt is short for auntie.
Yes. So
But-
ant,
Aunt,
aunt.
aunt.
Well, you don't say it like that unless ant,
Aunt,
aunt, aunt, ant, aunt, ant.
There we go. You've got to elongate the A vowel for aunt, which is probably difficult for somebody in Italy to do, I would think, because the vowels are usually not elongated, are they?
I think they can be, but not often.
A,
Not
E, O, U.
not very often.
So we go ah.
Okay.
We elongate our vowels.
That's
in
what people say.
English.
That's what people say when they turn on my live stream. They say, "Ah, look at him. Ah, what a poor man."
No, Olga was watching Alien the other day. Well, there's another scary film. The Alien, the second one. Aliens. No, is that the second? What's the second one?
Well, the second one is called Aliens.
Alien.
The first one is called Alien because there's just one.
Aliens, the director's cut. That's when they go to the planet, isn't it? I think that's a fantastic film.
I think the first one is still good because there's always that one scene with John Hurt where the alien it sort of comes out. It's sort of like that.
That was very good, Mr. Duncan.
Did you like that?
No, Aliens is my favourite film, one of my favourite films, because it's just action-packed, and Sigourney Weaver is fantastic in it. It's a bit more fast-paced than the first one.
I really wish I hadn't done that because all you can see is my big wobbly belly.
Oh dear.
But very good recommendation for a scary movie. Yes, you're right.
I remember watching Day of the Triffids. My parents, I was probably about, 12, 13, something like that at the time. And I was always scared of Doctor Who. I used to hide behind the sofa when Doctor Who was on.
Can I just say, most people are scared of Doctor Who nowadays.
But I remember my parents went out for the night. I was on my own. I think my sister was in bed. I don't know where my sister was. Anyway, I was on my own. It was dark. It was winter. And Day of the Triffids was on the television. And I was absolutely scared stupid.
Yeah.
I remember being so relieved when my parents came back home.
See, that one now, if I watch that now, it's not very scary because it doesn't look very good.
No.
You can tell that they're just sort of rubber things and they don't look very
A
scary.
12-year-old boy on his
Yes.
own in a dark house in the middle of winter.
I think so.
And I always remember that film.
Very scary.
Scorpions. Yeah, we don't have those here, thankfully.
No, actually, it's amazing how many animals, dangerous animals, we don't have. And I have to say, walking around the countryside is a more pleasant experience here because you know that nothing is going to jump out and attack you, unless, of course, it's another human being.
It's likely. The only thing that you're likely to be severely injured or killed by is somebody's dog.
Yes.
That is what most people. A lot of people do get killed every year in this country by being attacked by people's dogs.
Well, just a couple of days ago, I think a lady was attacked by a dog, and they are capable of killing a human being, even if the dog is friendly, and that's what people say. Oh, he's okay. Don't worry, he won't chew your face off. It's okay. He's just a bit excited. But then the next thing you know, the dog is chewing someone's face off.
Yes, so you can go for a walk in the UK anywhere. We don't have bears or wolves,
No?
or anything like that.
We don't have crocodiles, alligators, so you can go near the water.
Monkeys, nothing like that.
You can go near the water quite safely, and nothing is going to come out and snap you.
We don't have scorpions. We don't have poisonous spiders even that can kill you. There's literally nothing. You might get attacked by bees or wasps.
Yes.
But the thing the only thing that's likely to attack you is somebody's dog.
Yes.
And in fact, I have been. Well, we all have. It's not uncommon to be. I've been bitten by people's dogs when I've been out. Particularly if you're a runner, if you like running, then you learn very quickly as a runner that as soon as you see a dog, you stop running and just walk, because it's somehow, if a dog sees somebody running, it wants to chase that person because it thinks it needs to attack it.
Yes, like many things, dogs are easily scared. Even if your dog is not normally scared by things, they can suddenly become scared, frightened, they might panic, they might bite someone, they might run away if they are not on a lead. Can you believe we've come full circle? Because we started off talking about this and we've ended on this subject as well, because we will be going in a moment. I know what you're going to say. Mr. Duncan, please don't leave us. Please stay with us all afternoon. I would love to, but now the sun is coming round and I'm slowly starting to bake in the sunshine, unfortunately.
No, we don't have any wild animals that could kill you. You can't even get rabies in the UK.
Yes.
You might get bitten by insects like a mosquito, or a horsefly.
Ironically, the most dangerous creatures are the very tiny ones.
Yes, but we don't have malaria. We don't have. There aren't any diseases you can get. Lyme's disease, you could get that from a tick, but it's only in certain parts of the country, and ticks are very obvious.
Yes.
And you could, if you wear long trousers, then you won't get bitten by the ticks. So
But again, it's small things. So we don't have anything big that will come out and drag you away. We don't have bears. Isn't that strange? I think we used to. Maybe we used to have bears.
We used to, yes.
But they've all gone now. We decided to turn them all into rugs.
The most dangerous thing, as I've already stated, is dogs.
Yes. And other human beings.
Well, other human beings, of course, yes.
Yes. Anyway, we are going in a moment. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. It's been a little bit different outside. I am now starting to overheat.
I'm very cool here, Mr.
Well,
Duncan.
I'm in the sun. I've got the sun on me now, Mr. Steve. And I'm also a little tired. So I'm going to go into the house. And, well, I think Mr. Steve is going to come with me as well, unless you want to stay here and chat with Mr. Steve for another hour.
Giovanni says, I love hedgehogs. Giovanni, I've got a horror story to tell you, because last week I ran over a hedgehog in my car.
Mr. Steve.
I know. I couldn't avoid it, unfortunately. It was night time. And I saw at the last minute, it was on a main road, I saw something going across. And you know when you know you're driving and there's no way to avoid it. I was hoping it would go between the wheels, but that horrible thud sound.
I would imagine it was more of a sound
Well, it
as
wasn't
the
very
wheel
nice.
the wheel went over the hedgehog. But it's true. It's one of the problems with living in the countryside, especially driving at night. There's all sorts of animals roaming around, and they can jump out in front of you at any moment.
Actually, there's something that could seriously injure you if you were in your car, because there are lots of deer in this area. So, and in fact, we know lots of people where this has happened to them, particularly at night. The deer can run out onto the road, and you can obviously hit the deer with your car. And it could cause, well, it would certainly write your car off.
Yes,
it
it also
an
would.
adult deer.
It wouldn't be very nice for the deer either.
No, you could be seriously injured and end up in hospital if you hit a deer at speed.
No,
And
also
people
the
have.
deer. I mean, the deer wouldn't have a good time either.
Yeah, that's very true.
Did you know? Here's an interesting thing. As the sun disappears, did you know that if you hit an animal on the road, you are not allowed to get out of the car and pick it up? However, if you are driving behind someone and the car in front of you hits an animal, you are allowed to pick it up. Isn't that strange? So if I'm driving along the road, or Mr. Steve is,
And you hit a deer and kill it.
and you hit an animal, you can't get out the car and take it home with you. However, if you see someone else do it in front of you, you can stop the car and then get out and drag the animal into your car and take it home, and you have maybe a month's worth of meat.
The most stupid creatures are the that always run out into the road.
Pheasants.
Are the pheasants.
The pheasants, by the way, I think they might be a little crazy.
And I've run over a few of those. There's a road everybody knows between here and the next town. It's like the killing fields.
They
They just run out constantly. There's a deer or a pheasant or a rabbit. I ran over a rabbit a few weeks ago as well. But I was quite upset about running over the hedgehog, because I thought to myself, well, maybe that's a mother and it's going home to its children. That upset me for a few days, that did.
But it could be Hedgehog Hitler, and maybe you've done the hedgehog community some good.
Maybe
You've done something good for
By the
them.
way, hedgehogs are full of fleas,
They are.
as I've discovered in the past. If you get near a hedgehog, you end up covered in fleas
Yeah.
and bites.
Anyway, we will leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. I'm slowly starting to cook like a joint of meat.
Mr. Duncan, in Tuscany there are lots of wild boars.
Oh, I see.
You
We met
mean-
we met a few at them. We met a few of them at the hotel.
Well, yes, I think it's B-O-A-R.
Oh, I see. Not boring people.
It should be spelled, by the way, B-O-A-R.
A-R. So an animal is B-O-A-R. A person who is not very interesting is B-O-R-E.
Well, maybe that's what Lorella Bacci, maybe that's what you meant. Did you mean boring people, or did you mean a wild pig?
Oh, I see. Well, they do, but I know they do. They do have wild boars in Italy.
We could have been attacked,
Yeah.
Mr. Duncan.
Anyway, Steve.
Well, of course, boar was on the menu in a lot of places in Italy.
Yes, well, that's why I said that. It was on the menu at
It
the
was on
hotel.
the menu as a meat.
Anyway, we've got to go because I'm literally baking here. I can feel my arm is now starting to cook under the hot sunshine. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope it's been interesting, something different. I will now go into the house and I will wait for Mr. Steve to make me a lovely cup of tea. And I will be back with you on Wednesday. I'm with you on Wednesday. Steve is not because he's working. And of course, don't forget to look out for new lessons as well. There will be some new lessons coming up as well. And of course, on Wednesday, it is the final day of July. So we say goodbye to July on Wednesday.
And can we say, if our dear friend Christina is watching as well, who is currently suffering with Oh, what's it called? Can't remember.
COVID.
COVID. That's it.
You-
My brain's going.
How can you not remember COVID?
I know. I just don't know.
Do you remember, Steve, that there was that period of time between 2020 and 2023 when the whole world stopped turning round?
Christina might be watching us. If she is, hi. She's in her bed,
Yes.
recovering from a nasty temperature.
Well, I have the
so we wish you well.
I have the latest news concerning Christina. Christina is feeling much better, thanks to Mr. Steve and his lovely supportive messages.
Well, lots, not just me.
No, you're here with me.
Oh, right.
Yes. So yes, and also other people as well. So I think we've all cheered Christina up. So we are glad to hear that you're feeling much better. I've got to go, Mr. Steve, or else you're going to see me collapse on the floor because I'm in the baking sun. It's all right for Steve. He's in the shade. I've taken care of Mr. Steve, but unfortunately I'm all hot now because the sun is coming round. Thank you very much for your company. We are definitely going now. Take care of yourselves. We are back on Wednesday, and I will be with you from 2 p.m. UK time. And of course, until the next time we meet here. By the way, that's where you can find me on YouTube, English Addict, every Sunday and Wednesday from 2 p.m. UK time. And of course, until the next time we meet, any final words, Mr. Steve?
Yes, it's been lovely to be here. Hope you've learnt something. Hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a lovely week.
And of course, until the next time we meet, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Take care, enjoy your day, and don't get too hot. And of course, ta-ta for now.